Good morning, everybody. I know I'm here to talk about women's safety, but I would like to give you a disclaimer before I start. This is no male bashing. At Durga, we love our men. Personally, I can't think of a world without George Clooney or Brad Pitt, or closer to home, Surya. Rohini is an 18-year-old girl. She's a happy, chirpy, fun-loving girl. She joins college. Suddenly, things change for Rohini. She becomes withdrawn, restrained, unhappy looking, stops talking to people, stops eating, and definitely stops wanting to go to college. Her parents and friends notice this in her. They're wondering what could have been the problem with Rohini. Rohini has a professor in college who's staring at her, staring at parts of her. No attempt of touch, no comments have been made, so Rohini is not sure, but she feels extremely violated, consumed. It's like somebody is eating her inch by inch. She raises this with her friends, but friends casually brush it saying, Rohini, come on, it's nice if your teacher likes you. You're going to get better scores in that subject. That's not what Rohini wants. Her parents ask her repeatedly. Her parents even tell her that we've spent a lot of resource, money, energy, and putting you in one of the best colleges in the city, Rohini. You need to get high scores. For Rohini, going into college was not high scores. It was going into a world of darkness, blank space, into this world of shunya. How many of us here have experienced unsolicited touch? How many of us have had near and dear ones who've experienced unsolicited touch? So you see, this problem is not around women alone. It's not just our problem. It belongs to everyone who's with us and everyone who's part of this with us. When we talk about the issue of sexual harassment, we often hear of alarming statistics. I'm not here to talk about the statistics. I'm not here to tell you how many women get raped in India in every hour or how many children go missing in India. I'm here to tell you what I figured out as how not to be a part of that statistic. What is it that I can do so that I don't become a statistic, so that people around me do not become statistics? The choice is with me. I think if I am aware of where I am and what I want to do, a large part of my now, my moment here, is with me, and I can be in charge of that as well. Now, in Rohini's case, it's a feeling. She feels violated. Can she really go to a cop and say, you know what, I feel someone is violating me? Do you think she's really going to get help? No. But where she can get help is her inner strength. It's her sense of wanting to do something then and there. We've all been a part of what's happened in Delhi in December 2012, the Nirbhaya case, yes. And we also came to a point in India then that the entire country was asking one question. The concern became common. The commotion was common. There was a lot of communication, which was, what am I going to do about my safety as a woman? Or what am I, as a man, going to do about the safety of the women I love? And that was a common thread across. So we also had this question, and on reflection we feel that in India, we are not taught enough about how to deter sexual harassment in any of our curriculum. So some of us felt, yes, protests were important, asking for advocacy was equally important, but there was something that we could do with ourselves as well. Maybe we could give ourselves basic, I call it life skill, to be able to understand behavior around me, to be able to gauge the appropriateness of this behavior around me, and to be able to guard myself to the best of my ability. and that gave birth to Durga. So we came together with the idea that let's create some people who will start wanting to look after themselves by themselves. Now, there is no right way of looking after myself, or the wrong way for that matter. There is my way, my best way, what the best I can give to myself today, in this moment, in this scenario, with this perpetrator at this time of the day. And that's it. I move on. I come like a flash mob. I feel there's inappropriateness around me. I respond to it, and then I'm normal. I'm just anybody else. Point is, I'm aware. And that's the awareness we wanted to build. So we created Durga, and we said, let's create girls who start thinking about themselves, start thinking about their moment, and be aware in where they are at this point. Our Durga became more powerful. She said that I can look after myself so well, but I can also look after someone next to me equally well. I am a bystander, and I have an extremely important role to play as a bystander. Bystanders, talking about them, they're most critical in any scene of crime. We can actually be bystanders and change the dynamics of crime altogether. By being active, by being able to stand up and say that, you know what, this potential victim will not be a victim if I have a say, if I intervene. I can't help thinking enough about what happened in Nungambakam and Chennai at the railway station. If there were bystanders that day who were active, maybe, just maybe, we would have had Swati in our midst today. But being a bystander can also backfire many times. You may get into situations where you needn't have been a bystander at all, but that's all right. I feel happy. I've just played the role of a good Samaritan. I can quote an example where I was at Hussain Sagar Lake in Hyderabad, and I was at Eat Street, and I was just going to bite into my bhel, and I had a friend for company. We were talking to each other, and I was just about to eat that delight when I saw a girl sitting at a bench at a distance, maybe a few meters away, crying. She was weeping, and she had two boys on either side looking at her, gesturing, aggressive, angry, upset, which was further upsetting this girl. And I wanted to be a Durga. I wanted to be a good Samaritan. So I said, let me intervene. I wanted to find out if the girl was fine because I wanted to. My friend told me, no, just leave them. But I couldn't see this girl weeping at a distance and just bite into my bhel. So I said, no, let me walk up to her. So I went up to her and I asked her, do you have a problem? Before she could look up to me and say if she did, back came the reply from one of the boys. Yes, please help us. She's been dating both of us at the same time. Can you help? So I said, no, I can't help. This is something for you to resolve. But very happily, I came back to my bhel and bit into it. My conscience was clear and my appetite better. So the point here is, as bystanders, our roles are extremely important. And we also believe very firmly in Durga that taking control and addressing a situation now is best. It is easiest, least combative, and most effective. Because we are not about bashing people in Durga. We're about taking control ourselves. To give you an example, say I am in a bus and I see a person staring at me, neck and below, because he's not interested in this part of my body for some reason. And I feel it's really inappropriate. We all experience it. But what am I going to do? I know I'm getting off the bus in 10 minutes, and I don't want attention because I'm worried if I ask the perpetrator, what are you looking at? Not one pair, but I'll have 20 pairs looking at the same part of me. So I didn't want that. But I still wanted to do something. I didn't know what. I said the best I can do is look down, and if it's unbearable, move out of the bus. So what have I done? I have empowered a perpetrator. Now the empowered perpetrator at the next instance realizes stairs don't get anything. So the next instance is getting closer to a person. This just escalates closer and closer. There's touch, there's shoving of body parts. We all know what girls go through in buses today. So what happens is none of us has been able to do anything at that moment because we don't have the confidence, so we don't know what to do at that point. So what have we done? One fine morning, we wake up, open the newspaper with our cup of tea, and then what do we see? A poor child, all of 5, who was sleeping next to her mother in a construction site, The mother woke up and didn't find the child because she found a raped, murdered body 10 feet away from where she left her child. And you and I have been responsible for this. So what we really need to do is take control now, because now is the moment we really need to work. So working with Durga, we started creating Durgas who started looking after themselves, having an active role as a bystander, as well as going and creating more of her. Because if we look at the statistics of our country and say that, okay, over 500 million girls in our country, if each of us had the capacity to create a Durga or be that Durga, imagine the power. Imagine what happens. It's pretty much what we see here. Each one of us has this power, the extra pairs of hands around us, supporting us, so there's nobody who can look at us inappropriately, even think about looking at us inappropriately. And that was something that we felt, again going back to stats, we have over 500 million men as well. Are they all staring at me? Are they all interested in raping? No, it's a very minuscule percentage of people. So what we gathered at that stage was the rest of us are in this battle with us. You are all with us in this, and we are together in this. So each of us is that fire in ourselves to be able to look after ourselves, someone next to us, and be able to replicate ourselves very consciously. However, I would also like to bring to light, whether there is a Durga, I know I run Durga, but I still want to say this, whether there is a Durga, whether there is a workshop, whether there is a go-to, you still have that spark within you. We still, as individuals, wherever we are, will be able to be in control of our safety, ourselves. Today, we are an organization of 3,500 women and girls who are Durgas. We've been doing what we've been doing for about 3.5 years, and we've had excellent results in terms of working with women, getting them in our fold, and most importantly, getting a lot of boys and men working with us. We are committed to the cause of women's safety, and we shall continue all the way along. During the course of our work in Durga, we realized that women and girls repeatedly told us that they felt very violated and vulnerable in confined public spaces or public transport essentially. And I did give you my example. So at that case, I couldn't possibly jump out of a moving bus because someone was staring at me. I still needed to go from point A to point B. But this was something that was always eating up people. People needed to go to places, but people felt very violated. And this is subtle forms of sexual harassment that you and I don't discuss and don't talk enough about. So what we felt we needed to do was get something going so women actually start believing in themselves and feeling comfortable in any space they go. However, even getting this idea across was very difficult. In fact, we had a lot of resistance from transport providers saying our buses are most safe, and if at all they aren't safe, we have our own solutions. I was like, tell me about it. Madam, we're going to have all the ladies in one side of the bus and all the men on the other side of the bus and have this little screen in between. Only if the men look at the women will there be any harassment. So if they are not together, they don't have harassment. Thank you. So what we felt, going back to our George Clooney philosophy, was we love men. We want them around. We want equitable spaces with them. We want to be treated equally. We want to respect men as much as we expect respect from men. So that was what gave birth to our little idea. We said that if there is an intervention that is needed in public transport, which requires a whole lot of people to benefit, then technology is the way to go. But it needed to be a very simple technology intervention that was available in the space rather than available on the person. So that gave birth to the idea of placing what we call a panic alarm that we call Durga alarm, which is basically a little device that is kept in Bangalore's buses today, where women can raise their hands, if not their voice, against harassment, and then going back to our Durga ethos of active bystanders in the bus, the co-passengers, come to the help of that person and diffuse the situation very quickly. However, we are in a city in Bangalore where there are multiple techies, but each techie is busy inventing the next Google Maps. No one wanted to help us with a little technology. The best companies gave way, which was when we came back to colleges. We said there are youngsters in colleges who are actually doing a lot of innovative stuff. So with the help of the support of a bunch of boys from MS Ramaiah College in Bangalore, we created this prototype of the panic alarm, which very successfully went across pilot and was needed most, was accepted as well. This got refined by a bunch of students in the Indian Institute of Science, and with support from students like you from any number of Bangalore's colleges, to name a few, Dayanand Sagar, PESIT, Christ University, MLA, MES, now we are at BIT. We have any number of students who have campaigned for us, gone on media, on all forms of media, supported us, asking for it, and today we are very proud to say that as we speak, we have this alarm in a refined version on most buses, and we're going to be having it in 500 buses soon. So we've got approval for all buses, but we will soon start step by step with 500 buses in Bangalore. But the point I come back to is alarm or no alarm. The alarm is within you. We need to find out if that behavior is inappropriate to even be able to press the alarm. So that's the awareness that we come back to, which is core to Durga. You have control over your safety. Throughout our journey, we've been working with a lot of students, and I've already given examples, but our journey with students has not concluded yet. We have set up Durga chapters in a few colleges where a lot of curation of ideas, a lot of planning, a lot of product development, all under the strand of women's safety, is coming up with girls and boys, creating equitable spaces within colleges to take these models across to multiple places. Our pilot has gone off very successfully with Dayanand Sagar, and we would like to bring it to your college and multiple other city colleges over the next year as well. The point I'm making again is if we have such spaces, our Rohini from the beginning will not be lost and wanting for help. She knows where to go to. But again, whether there is a workshop, whether there is an alarm, whether there is an ecosystem where we want to build, we are Durgas in our own right, and we should be able to take control of our safety in our own style. And that's our only vision in Durga. Thank you very much.